Hello and welcome to a simple tutorial for setting up and working with Cinemachine. I've been learning Cinemachine for the last couple of weeks and I think I can show you a pretty decent and easy way to set it up and get going with it. There's of course many different ways that you could do what I'm going to show you in Cinemachine, and by all means you should load it up and use it because it can be a lot of fun and it can save you a lot of time if you want to have good camera movement in your games. But anyway, I think this will probably be the easiest way to do it. So here's the plan. I have this mock-up set up of just like a really simple level. And what I want to do is have an intro sequence where there's these two enemies here, these yellow capsules, will have a quick dialogue. I won't do the dialogue, just the camera movement. And it'll go between this guy, and then back to this guy. And then it should pull out and follow my player character, which is the red box right here. So that's the plan. And after I get it all set up, I'll show you a couple of other cool things you could do with Cinemachine. But for now, let's just get it installed. So you'll go up to Window, Package Manager, wait for that to show up. And then there's Cinemachine right there. It's usually in the Unity registry. I'm using Unity 2020.3.21. But I'll just go ahead and hit install. And I'll be back when that is done because it'll take just a second. Okay, now that that is installed, I'll just go ahead and close the package manager. And the first thing you'll want to do is click on your main camera and add a component. And you can go to Cinemachine and you need a brain on your main camera. So Cinemachine brain. Okay, once you have the brain that has all of these settings, I'm just going to kind of ignore them at the moment. I might get back to them, especially the blends here. Maybe we'll see. Anyway, so from here, if you want to start your sequence, you could set up a timeline with an empty and all that, and that's a valid way to do it and makes it pretty easy. But I feel like this way I'm going to show you is a little bit easier. So I'm going to come up to Cinemachine and I'm going to create a BlendList camera. That will automatically install these two virtual cameras, which you could use if you wanted to, but I'm going to go ahead and delete them. All right, so I deleted those cameras so that it's just a little bit easier to set up the shot that I want, more or less, and it can be tweaked afterwards, but I just want to kind of get the scene view where I want the shot, which I'll say is right about here. And then I'll go to Cinemachine and then create a new virtual camera, and it automatically sets it up where I want it. Now I just need to move it to be a child of the BlendList camera. And I'm going to go ahead and rename it um, Enemy 1 Close-Up. Okay, and then I'm going to move the scene view again and set up another shot of him talking. Of course, I don't have mouse, so it's hard to tell. Then do another virtual camera, rename it Enemy 2 Close-Up. And make sure it is also a child of the BlendList camera. Oops. There we go. Okay, so now you can see those are automatically considered children in the blend list. So I just got to say, for the order I want them to shoot in, I want to go enemy 1 close up and then enemy 2 close up. And then I want to go back to enemy 1 close up, and I could do that just by hitting this little plus button and going back to enemy 1. And now I'll show you what that does by hitting play. Starts here, pans the camera over to here, and then back to him. Just that easy. Of course, I do want to mess with them a little bit to get them to look a little better. I want to back this one up. Virtual camera close up. Back it up just a little bit. Okay, I just looked back at some of the footage I was capturing and realized I was cutting off the inspector right here. So I will try to fix that moving forward. All right, so if you hit play again, just to see where we were just at, just to remind myself, it goes here, then there, and then back. Okay, great. So I did just move the camera back a little bit so it was a slightly better shot. But as you can see, it kind of goes too fast. There's no time for the dialogue, and that's what these holds, and this is the transition between cameras, the speed of the transition. It says that's in seconds, but I'm not sure if that's totally accurate. Anyway, I want to hold for 2 seconds on the second shot, and I want it to take, let's say another 2 seconds to get between the two. So see what that looks like. All right, that transition feels a little too slow, but the hold is good. So I'll go back to, or let's actually make it 0.5 seconds. That'll probably be real quick. Perfect. All right, as cool and as easy as that all is to set up, now I want to do something a little bit more interesting and definitely a lot more difficult. I'm just going to kind of set it up roughly here, but I want to do a state-driven camera, which I will just name the player camera. And throw it into the blend list. And as you can see, you can nest cameras here. So as soon as it hits this camera, which I actually need to set that up here, go to the player camera. And then, so it should do the first 3 shots and then go to the player camera and zoom out here. Of course, right now, if I hit it, it's going to do some kind of weird stuff, I think. It'll probably be in the wrong place. Not where I just set it up in the scene view. Oh, it did. Well, okay then. I'll just name it this one follow camera. Follow. Okay, so I want to call it the follow camera because it is also a virtual camera, and I want to have it follow the player. So now when I hit that, now it's going to be wrong. I guarantee it. Yeah, that's usually what it does. So there's a few ways to do that. You can take your game view and throw it somewhere where you can see it. Not there. How about here? And as long as you have the save during play box checkmarked right here, you can move your camera while you play. So I should be able to just correct it live. Right, so it's way back here. Oops. Let's move it back to where I want it. Live. Okay. And now no, it'll probably have some other unexpected consequences here. Yeah. It'll just kind of jump around, which it sort of works, but then it really doesn't. Yeah, so what's happening here is it's essentially just the wrong setting. All you have to do is go to the binding mode and lock to target on a sign instead of world up. And now it should follow perfectly. Yeah. As I run around, follows me. Now, you'll notice there's kind of a dead zone when I'm moving here. That is the damping. So if I turn up the damping in X, then it'll take longer for the camera to catch up for me. If I turn it way down, it'll stay more or less with me. You could do, I'll turn it down for everything really. So it's a little bit tighter. And that's kind of how I want it set up to begin with. Okay, now that this is all set up, I want to explain the difference real quick between a BlendList camera and the StateDriven camera. So that's all working. The BlendList camera is automatically, when you hit play, going to start running through it, as you've seen, I don't know, a dozen times now. But once you hit a state-driven camera, the cameras will change based off of the animator state, which you need an animator for. Which, if this project was a little bit further along and this wasn't just a placeholder player, I'd probably have animations for it. And if I switched to, like, I don't know, a jump kick or something, you could pull in the camera and have it move in, like a real cool close up, have a dramatic effect. which I'll probably do later as I get deeper into this project. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and actually just throw the animator on the state camera itself. And I will need another camera to switch to. And I have this little thing set up to be kind of a mock menu. So right here, I'll just throw in another virtual camera. And I want to call it the menu. And now as you can see, just like the BlendList camera, where it automatically has children, so does the StateDriven camera. And you, right now the animator doesn't have any states, but if it did, I could add them in right here and choose between them. I'll show you that in just a second. But right now I have the ability to switch between these two virtual cameras. And of course, with that controller, you need, or the animator, you need a controller, which I'll just create one in the project assets folder and call it camera switcher. Then on the state driven camera, I'll throw that on the controller. And in here, I'll go ahead and make two states for, rename this one follow, then make another state and name this one menu. Now that I've got that, I should just be able to grab the player and actually throw it right into the animated target because it's going to just use this animator. And now you can see in the state list, there is now a follow and a, which I will use the menu, or the follow camera for the follow state, obviously. And then I'll add another one, menu and menu. And just to explain these two fields right here, the wait is how long to switch between those two cameras, how long it should wait, and the minimum is how long it would stay on the camera. So if I switch to the menu and then I like hit the button to switch to the menu and then just keep tapping it, it won't go back and forth. It'll stay in the menu for a little bit. Okay, now from here, I need to be able to switch between those cameras. And to do that, we'll need a script. So let's make a new C# script, call it Cinemachine switcher. Open that up. Okay, now I'm not going to be using those namespaces, but I will be using Unity Engine input system, which is the new input system. From here, I need a serialized field for a private input action, and I'll just call that input action underscore input action. We'll also need a reference to the animator, which I will just call underscore animator. Now I think I need an awake to get that animator. Animator underscore animator equals get component animator. And just real quick from here, I'm going to go back to Unity and add the Cinemachine switcher script to my camera and add an input action, add a binding, and double click on that. And for the path, I'll just click here and hit listen, and I'm gonna use tab for this. It'll auto-populate it if you hit the button. And then let's go back to the script. Okay, and then I've deleted my start function for some reason, so let's just bring that back. And I need to subscribe to that action by going, underscore input action, right? I forgot what I named it. And then plus equals, and then there should be a parameter here, but since we don't actually need one, I'm just going to use an underscore. Equals greater than, and then it'll run a new function called switch state, which I will write. Oops, state. I am not good at typing. Then private void switch state. And why is that? Oh, I forgot to put dot performed. So when you perform the action, it's dot performed. That's part of the new input system. Oh, then I will need to switch between cameras. So I'm going to add just to know which one I'm on, private bool for menu camera. And actually, before I go on too much further, I should mention that I got a lot of this code from Sam Yam on YouTube, watching one of her Cinemachine tutorials. It's pretty much the same thing that I'm doing here. Anyway, yeah, and then to switch state, we'll just say if menu camera animator dot play, and then we called it, what's the other one? Player? Capital P, I believe. Let's go back over to Unity and look at it. Follow. Ah, not player. Okay. Then of course the else statement animator dot play menu. And then what was it called? Man, menu camera. The boolean that I'm using is equal to false. Okay. Probably don't need that. Now let's go back to Unity and should be able to hit play. It's going to do the normal BlendList stuff that it's been doing. Go to here. I can still follow around, but when I hit tab, it should switch. It doesn't. Why doesn't it switch? Oh, I forgot. You need to do a private on enable and on disable. Yeah, so it is required for the action, which is the input action dot enable. Oops. And then private void disable on disable underscore input action dot disable. Okay, now it should work. Let's go back to Unity. I go through the blend list and then end up on the StateDriven camera. Move around, tab, into it. There it goes. Now it's working as intended. So just one more cool thing I wanted to show you now that this is working. A really easy thing to do with Cinemachine is add camera shake. So I'm just going to use it only on the follow camera, this camera right here, and make sure that since I'm still playing, I have the save during play. But this little parameter right here called noise, if you switch that over to basic multi-channel Perlin and then pick a profile, in this case, I'm just going to go with handheld normal, mild. it, as you can see, kind of shakes the camera a little bit as you're moving around, so it looks handheld. Very easy to do, very cool. I think this is a little bit too dramatic, so I might change some of the settings, and you can obviously play with it as much as you want. But I think that's just a really cool thing, and that's all I really have to show you.